Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the live virtual classes by the Board of Studies Academic. My name is Arjit Sethi, and we are doing Strategic Management, chapter number 5. Welcome all on a Sunday morning. Before I start, just one disclaimer. There is some electricity issue in my area. So if you face any lags, probably I'll have to change places or rooms. So please excuse that. We'll ensure the class is smooth and nice and we are able to cover up those gaps. But if there are any, please excuse it. Okay? Thank you so much. Great. So let's get into what we were discussing. Hi, Anshu. Hello, Danu. Very good morning. I hope yesterday's class was an eye opener on how to read study materials. It is a great opportunity for us right now, for all of those who are not studying the study material, to understand how we read it, how we use it for examination. And I hope you guys are practicing the assignments as well. A lot of material online on the BOS website for your practice, MCQs, case scenarios. We will practice those as well. The plan is to complete chapter 5, uh, most of it today, maximum next week, and then we have a full revision of all types of questions we have in examination for strategic management, be it MCQs, be it case scenario, be it subjective questions. Subjective, mostly we have covered a lot of questions, we'll still practice. We have done a lot of simple, medium difficulty MCQs through Kahoot as well. Our aim now is to particularly solve case scenarios and more MCQs, which are exam oriented MCQs. So we'll do that as well. So be assured, we will be doing a lot of questions. We'll be doing a lot of practice. That's on the chart. But first, we will complete chapter 5, which will also complete our entire syllabus. And then we get into our exam prep mode. Okay. I hope all of us are aligned, all of us agree what we're doing is fine. A quick thumbs up, okay, will be very helpful to understand we are active and interactive in the class. I know it's Sunday morning, a dizzy Sunday morning, but more activity. Awesome. Thanks, Anshu. Thanks, Tanu. I see. Thanks, Almas. I want all of you to be active on the chat, please. It's your classroom, like I always say. Thanks, Vinci. Okay. What we were doing, hello Priyanshi, what we were doing in the last class is probably, okay, thanks Pooja, I see you active. Good, good, more activity in the class. We were doing implementation and evaluation. Okay, we were doing implementation and evaluation, and that particularly is the last stage of strategic management. The first stage is formulation. Formulation, 4 chapters. 1, defining your vision, mission, objectives, and goals. Environment analysis, internal analysis, strategic choices. Then you implement, and finally you evaluate. Implementation and evaluation. Now, what we were doing here was, we were talking about the 7 topics the chapter 5 has. Interrelationship between formulation and implementation we did. There was a very interesting topic which I will start with, as we probably discussed yesterday, efficiency and effectiveness, and how does that ensure the formulation and implementation are talking to each other. So let's start with that topic here very quickly. Okay, effective and efficient. What does effective mean and what is efficient? Effective is to do the right thing. Effective is to do the right thing, which is formulation. Your ideas, your plan are effective or ineffective. While your actions, your implementation is either efficient or inefficient. Okay? Doing the right thing, but doing the thing right. Let me give you an example. When you have fever, जब आपको बुखार होता है, what medicine do you generally take? What medicine do you generally take when you have fever? Body temperature होता है, कौन सी दवाई लेते हो? Which medicine do you generally take? Answers in the chat, please. You'll very quickly understand effective and efficiency के बीच का difference right now. Okay, paracetamol. Somebody says dolo, crocin, paracetamol, right? Is that medicine effective or efficient? क्या बोलते हैं दवाई बड़ी effective है या दवाई बड़ी efficient है? What do we generally say? Effective होती है because that's the right thing to do. Okay, that's the right thing to do. If you have body temperature and you take a paracetamol, that's the right thing to do. But if you take that paracetamol with coke, सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक के साथ, स्प्राइट के साथ आप पैरासीटामोल लेते हो, ऊपर से कोक के साथ उसको लेते हो आप, will it still be, it will still be effective, but it will be inefficient. It will still be effective. दवाई तो ठीक ले रहे हो, you're doing the right thing, but you're not doing the thing right. सही तरीके से नहीं कर रहे. You're doing the right thing. आप सही चीज कर रहे हो. You're doing the right thing, but you are not doing it the right way. So you're taking paracetamol, you're effective, but you're taking it with soft drink that is inefficient. सही तरीके से नहीं ले रहे. So probably you will survive. Probably हो सकता है, हो सकता है कि आप ठीक हो जाओ. Chances are you still survive and you get out of your fever. You can still survive. क्योंकि दवाई तो खाई है, आप कोक के साथ खाइए तो थोड़ा सा तो गड़बड़ की है, but still the medicine might work. You see, effective है medicine लेना, inefficient तरीके से लिया, still chances are the medicine will work. That's exactly with formulation and implementation. Formulation, the plan can be solid and doing the right thing. But are you doing that thing in the right way? Yes or no defines your thrive or survive. सही चीज सही तरीके से will thrive. The correct plan with the correct actions will help you thrive. The correct plan with not correct actions will let you survive. The wrong plan with correct actions, you will die slowly. The wrong plan, wrong actions, you will die very quickly. Now you understand effective, efficient. I think Mohit had a question yesterday. Mohit, if you're in the class. If you are in the class, I hope this helps. Again, we started with it. Awesome. Shruti, thank you. Understood. Very clear. Awesome, Tadu. Effective and efficient. Let's go to our next topic. We were talking about the difference between formulation and implementation. Very simple. One is operational, one is strategic, one is decision making, one is actions, one is intellectual, the other is operational. It needs analytical skills, it needs leadership skills. Okay, very nice. Now there are two linkages between strategy implementation and formulation. Okay, the first one is called forward linkage. The second is called backward linkage. Forward linkage क्या है? Right? Forward linkage is when, let's study from the study material and then I'll explain this to you. The different elements in strategy formulation, starting with objective setting through environment and organizational appraisal, strategic alternatives, choice to the strategic plan, determine the course of an organization adopts for itself. With the formulation of new strategies or reformulation of existing strategies, many changes have to be effected within the organization. For instance, the organizational structure has to undergo a change. The style of leadership has to be adapted to the needs of the modified or new strategies. In this way, formulation of strategy has forward linkage with implementation. जब आप एक plan बना रहे हो, so you will have a forward linkage with how you want to implement it. When you're formulating a plan, you will have a forward linkage as to how do you perceive, how will you initiate, how would you implement, how will you execute that plan? That is called a forward linkage. Similarly, when you're implementing something, when you're implementing, just as implementation is determined by formulation of strategies, the formulation process is also affected by factors related to implementation. Now, while dealing with strategic choices, remember the past strategic actions also determine the choice of strategy. Organizations tend to adopt those strategies which can be implemented with the help of present structure. Now, this means कि जब आप implementation करते हो, then you also have to understand आपने formulate क्या किया था. Are we implementing the right plan? Are we implementing it the way we wanted it to happen? आपका backward linkage भी है. So this means they are interrelated. When you're formulating a strategy, you're thinking about implementation. When you're implementing a strategy, you're thinking about formulation. So आपस में there is a forward and backward linkage between both the things, which is formulation and implementation. Okay, very simple, very clear linkage here. You think about implementation when you're formulating, you think about formulation when you're implementing. That is forward and backward linkage. Okay, very nice. Issues in strategic implementation. What are the issues in strategic implementation? Strategic plan devised by the organization proposes the manner in which the actions or strategies have to be put in. They themselves do not lead to action. They are, in a sense, statement of intent. Implementation tasks are meant to realize the intent. Okay. So from implementation point of view, we will see forward and backward linkage. Yes, you will. You will. That's right, Priyanshi. Okay. Implementation tasks are meant to realize the intent. Strategies, therefore, have to be activated through implementation. Strategies should lead to formulation of different kind of programs. A program is a broad term. It then leads to goals, policies, procedures, rules, and certain small programs. Okay. स्ट्रैटेजी का एक बड़ा प्लान होता है. प्लान के अंदर बहुत सारे प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं. द सबसेट ऑफ अ प्लान आर प्रोग्राम्स. प्रोग्राम्स लीड टू फॉर्मुलेशन ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स. हर प्रोग्राम के अंदर छोटे छोटे प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं. देयर इज अ ब्रॉड कंपनी ग्रोथ प्लान. प्लान के अंदर प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं. प्रोग्राम्स के अंदर प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, I want to grow my business in, let's say, Middle East. I am an Indian company. I want to grow my business in the Middle East. My broad plan is Middle East में मुझे 10% growth लाना है. My program within that broad plan, my program is I will focus on two countries or two places. Let's say I will focus on Dubai and Sharjah. Within that, I have project. Which product will I sell more in Dubai? किस प्रोडक्ट पे काम करेंगे, कहाँ इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, कौन सा प्रोडक्ट इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे उस मार्केट में. वो छोटे छोटे प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं. अ प्लान हैज प्रोग्राम, द प्रोग्राम हैज प्रोजेक्ट्स. दैट इज हाउ यू implement a strategy. That is how you implement a strategy. Please remember this. It comes in examination. Okay. Now, implementation tasks put the test tasks put to test the strategy's abilities to allocate resources, design organizational structure, formulate functional policies, and to provide strategic leadership. How do you devise a strategy implementation plan? 3 bullet points on your screen. Strategies are broad plans. They do not themselves convert into actions. You have to convert them into actions. For that, you have multiple programs. From each program, you have multiple projects. That is how you implement a plan or a strategy. Okay, that's how the question comes in the examination. It's a simple 3 point or 5 marks आपको आसानी से मिल जाएगा. Given below is the sequential manner the issue in strategy implementation which are to be considered. Things you have to consider in strategy implementation: one, project implementation, procedural implementation, resource allocation, structural implementation, functional implementation, and behavioral implementation. पहले तो project आपको implement करना है. उसके अंदर you have to set procedures. What are the rules? What are the procedures? How will things happen? Every process is to be defined. The resources have to be allocated. Who will do what, by when, and how? Structural implementation: who will report to whom, who is responsible for which activity. That is just giving a structure to your implementation. कौन क्या काम करेगा, कौन responsible है, किससे पूछेंगे ये काम हुआ या नहीं. Functional implementation: support from functions like finance, HR, IT, right? You get support from those structural or those functional teams. And finally, behavioral implementation, where teams or people are as much as passionate about your strategy as much as the top executives are. People should be equally motivated with the strategy that the top management has. ऐसा नहीं है वो बैठ के सपने देख रहे हैं we will grow and people are not even motivated. They're like ये market में जाना ही क्यों. So there has to be behavioral implementation where everybody is aligned in principle and everybody feels the same, has the same level of motivation for formulation and specifically for implementation. Okay. So you have to consider project implementation, procedural implementation, resource allocation, structural implementation, functional implementation, and finally, behavioral implementation. Okay. It should be noted that the sequence does not mean that each of the above activities are necessarily performed one after the other. They are not necessarily to be performed one after the another. Many activities can be performed simultaneously. Certain other activities may be repeated over time. Thus, can be overlapping and changes in the order which the activities are performed. Sequence follow करने की जरूरत नहीं है, but you still have to do all of it. Okay. In small organizations, the transition from strategy formulation to implementation is the responsibility of core group, right? फटाफट से हो जाता है because the organization is small, the decisions can be taken small. Therefore, the role of divisional and functional level managers is very quick turnaround in small organizations. Okay. The behavioral part is where I was telling you this. Managers and employees throughout an organization should participate early and directly in strategy implementation activities. Managers and employees throughout an organization should participate early and directly in strategy implementation activities. This is a question that you can see in MCQs as well. This is an MCQ question. Okay. Managers and employees throughout an organization should participate early and directly in strategy implementation activities. MCQ statement. The role in strategy implementation should build upon prior involvement in strategy formulation activities. People who have to implement should be involved during formulation. Yes or no? Question to you. People who are actually implementing a strategy should be involved early on in formulation. Yes or no? It's a question to you guys. You have to answer in the chat. People who actually implement the strategy should be involved early on. Yes or no? Yes, absolutely yes. They should be involved. That is your MCQ question. Absolutely yes. That's what the study material also says. Managers and employees throughout should participate directly in strategy implementation activity. Okay. Now, let's go to the next topic. You can read the study material, right? I'm not going to read the entire study material. It's for you to study, but I'm just telling you kind of statements that can come in examination and which generally create a statement. All these statements particularly can create an MCQ. That's why reading the study material becomes even more important, right? Random statement लेके भी मैं आपको MCQ दे सकता हूँ. For example, firms need to develop a competitive focus on non-hierarchical levels by gathering and widely distributing competitive intelligence. Every employee should be able to benchmark her or his efforts against the best-in-class competitors so that challenge becomes personal. MCQ बना सकता हूँ मैं. Easily I can make an MCQ. Okay. Pretty forward and backward linkage very simple. जब आप फॉर्मुलेशन करते हो, आप इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के बारे में सोचोगे. Think about how will you implement when you are formulating. Think about your formulation when you are implementing. Simple है. Forward linkages, when you're formulating a strategy, you're thinking about implementation. कि how will I even implement? Do I have the resources? क्या मेरे पास time, पैसे, लोग हैं to implement? And when you're implementing, you're thinking about formulation. कि did I really plan for this? मैं जो actions कर रहा हूँ, are they really planned for? Are they something that I really wanted to do? That is your thinking about formulation when you are implementing. Okay? Implementation and formulation. That is what it means. The big topic, my guys, strategic change through digital transformation. Strategic change through digital transformation. Changes in the environment force the business to make modifications in their existing strategies and bring out new strategies. Strategic change is a complex process that involves a corporate strategy focused on new markets, new products, maybe new services, and new ways of doing business. Okay. Steps to initiate a strategic change. What are the steps to initiate a strategic change? One, recognize the need for change. Recognize the need for change. The first step is to diagnose which facets of the present corporate culture our strategies are supportive of and which are not. पहले तो you recognize the need for change. Why do you need a change? Is it technology? Is it environment? Is it market? Is it competitors? The first step is to diagnose why do you really need a change. And for that, you do a SWOT analysis. And for that, you generally do a SWOT analysis. Okay. Second, create a shared vision to manage change. Objectives of both individuals and the organization should coincide. You have to create a shared vision to manage change. आप तो change करना चाहते हो organization को. Are people ready for the change? Do people, employees, investors, shareholders, employees, managers, middle managers, functional managers, do they really want this change? Yes, you should create a vision कि भाई change is important. Create a shared vision to manage change. Institutionalize the change. The third thing is to institutionalize the change. First, you identify, do you really need a change? Then you create a shared vision to manage the change. And finally, you institutionalize the change, which means this is the action stage which requires implementation of the changed strategy. Okay. Creating and sustaining a different attitude towards change. Institutionalize means solidify. Now you tell people this is the new normal. The change has happened. The new technology, the new way, the new structure, the new team, the new operations, the new process, whatever change you're bringing in the organization, you tell people that, boss, this is the new normal. That is called institutionalizing the change. One. Figure out why do you need change. Okay, I'll come to that, Tanu. What does facets and lacuna means? Okay, first is understand why you need change. Okay, understand why you need change. The second is create a shared vision to manage the change. Everybody should agree, align, and should work towards the change. And finally, is you institutionalize it. You solidify the fact that change is the new normal. This is the new normal. We have institutionalized it. This is how things will happen henceforth. Okay. Okay. So Tanu has a question. Let me open this for the class. What is the meaning of facets and lacuna lies? Here. Okay. There you go. What does facets mean and what does lacuna lies means? Okay. Very good. Pooja says no idea. Facets means aspects. That's right. Facet means aspects. Different sides. The faces. Okay. Facets means the different sides, the features, the aspects. Those are facets. What is lacuna? Through SWOT analysis and then determine where the lacuna lies and the scope of change exists. Lacuna lies means where do gaps lie? Where do open areas, issues, weaknesses, the missing part, right? Loopholes. That is called lacuna. Through SWOT analysis, you determine where the lacuna lies and the scope for change exists. Facets mean aspects, features, the different features, aspects, faces of the same thing. Is it clear? Very good. Awesome. Now, there's a person called Kurt Lewin. Okay. There's a person called Kurt Lewin. He had a model of change. To make change lasting, Kurt Lewin proposed three phases of the change process. He said change लाने के three phases होने चाहिए. Three phases में change आना चाहिए एक organization. First is unfreezing the situation. The first one is unfreezing the situation. This means the process of unfreezing simply makes individuals aware of the necessity for change and prepares them for such a change. Okay, very good, Shiv. What is the meaning of SWOT? रामायण खत्म हो गई, क्वेश्चन आया कि भाई श्री राम कौन थे? SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. सिर्फ चैप्टर 1 में पढ़ा, चैप्टर 2 में पढ़ा, चैप्टर 3 में भी पढ़ा, चैप्टर 4 में भी पढ़ा हमने. हम चैप्टर 5 में आ गए हैं. Okay. Levin proposed that the changes should not come as a surprise to the members of the organization. Sudden and unannounced change would be socially destructive and morale lowering. Okay. The change should not be sudden and unannounced because it destroys the trust within the team. It destroys the morale, the motivation to work. So slowly, steadily, सबको prepare करो. Batao. Make them aware of why the change is needed and what change is upcoming. That's called unfreezing the situation so that members would be willing and ready to accept the change. It involves breaking down old attitudes and behaviors, customs and traditions so that they start with a clean slate. This can be achieved by making announcements, holding meetings, and promoting new ideas throughout the organization. Two, changing to the new situation. Phase two is phase two is changing to the new situation. Once the unfreezing process has been completed and the members recognize the need for change and are prepared to accept such change, their behavior patterns need to be redefined. अब आपको चेंज उनको एक्सेप्ट करवाना है, उनको आदत डलवानी है. नाउ यू हैव टू मेक देम हैबिचुअल टू द चेंज. हाउ डू यू डू दैट? यू हैव थ्री वेज माय फ्रेंड. ठीक है जी. एचसी केलमैन करके एक हैं, उन्होंने थ्री मेथड्स बताए हैं कि आप लोगों का बिहेवियर कैसे चेंज कर सकते हो. आप लोगों का बिहेवियर कैसे चेंज कर सकते हो. हाउ कैन यू चेंज द बिहेवियर ऑफ पीपल. H.C. Kellman has three ways to do it. Number one is called compliance. It is achieved by strictly enforcing reward and punishment strategy for good or bad behavior. The fear of punishment, actual punishment or actual reward, seem to change the behavior for the better. जो काम अच्छा कर रहा है. People who are accepting the change quickly are rewarded, recognized. उनको मीटिंग्स में अवार्ड्स मिल रहे हैं, सर्टिफिकेट्स मिल रहे हैं, रिकग्निशन मिल रहा है. People who are not accepting change, still working with the old ways, old thinking, they start getting punished. That means not punishment like मुर्गा बना दो ये सब. They get lower grading, less hikes in salary. बाकियों को 10% मिल रही है, इनको 2% मिली. So eventually they'll understand, अच्छा, because बाकी लोग तो तेजी से नई टेक्नोलॉजी, उसने नया सॉफ्टवेयर सीख लिया, मैं अभी पुराने सॉफ्टवेयर पे हूँ, so I get punished. It's called compliance. It's called compliance. Number two way of changing behaviors is identification. Identification occurs when members are psychologically impressed upon to identify themselves with some given role models, right? The leaders walk the talk, which means people identify themselves with people. They like listening to a people. There are certain role models in the organization जिनको people follow करते हैं. So if they start doing things in the new way, the people who follow them will also start doing things in the new ways. So you create role models. For example, like Mukesh Ambani, Ratan Tata, in their organization, if they are ethical, they are not ethical, the way they do the business, it all depends how the employees also do the business. If the owners, the role models, the decision makers are not themselves leading with the change, then probably it's very difficult to change. So identification, people should identify themselves with some role models and leaders in the organization to bring about a change. Number three, internalization. You psychologically involve them in decision making and make them realize why the change is so important. आप उनको psychologically feed करते हो, आप उनको psychologically बताते हो, you involve them and you make sure they have internally enlightened, they feel internally enlightened to be part of the change. आप उनको involve करते हो, आप उनको motivate करते हो कि because of you the change will happen. You are the one who will bring about the change. You are the one who will take the company forward. You are the one who are responsible for everybody's success. If people start feeling motivated, oh, okay, my job is important, my work is important, I need to change, I need to upgrade, I need to advance myself. That's called internalization. So तीन तरीके से आप behavior change कर सकते हो, which is changing to the new situation, is compliance, identification, and internalization. And the final step, unfreezing, changing, and refreezing. Once you have done all the changes, you refreeze. Refreezing occurs when the new behavior becomes a normal way of life. The new behavior must replace the former behavior completely. Change takes place. In order for the new behavior to become permanent, it must continuously be reinforced so that the new acquired behavior does not diminish or extinguish. Change process is not a one-time application, but a continuous process because your strategy will keep changing, because the environment will keep changing. आपका environment change होता रहेगा तो आपकी strategy change होती रहेगी, आपकी strategy change होती रहेगी तो आपको change process continuously लाते रहना पड़ेगा. Is it correct that the second step involves both nudging employees and using sticks and carrots approach? Absolutely, yes. That's right, Mo. That's right. That's absolutely right. Another question is, how does digital transformation work? Okay. Digital transformation is some upgradation of software, some new technology, new way of doing business through AI, through softwares, through ease, reducing the number of manual work checkpoints, making things automated, automation, transformation, digitization. All of these are interchangeably used. Automation of process, using AI, using digital tools, using software tools, using cloud-based computing and invoicing systems. All of that is digital transformation at work. The change management in digital transition consists of four essential elements. जब हम digital transformation की बात करेंगे, specifically, the change management in digital transition consists of four essential elements. One, defining the goals and objectives of the transformation, assessing the current state and identifying the gaps, creating a roadmap for change that outlines the steps needed to reach the desired stage, and finally implementing and managing the change at every level of the organization. पहले तो goals and objectives क्या है, क्यों करना चाहते हो? Assess the current state, कौन सा software, how many people, what's the process, what's the data flow, how things happen. Third, creating a roadmap for change that outlines the steps needed to reach the desired state. And finally, implementing and managing the change at every level of the organization. What matters the most in digital transformation is how they collaborate to support organization in achieving their goals. The collaboration has to happen for this change to be successful. Okay, how does change management really work? How does change management really work? Change management is a process of tools, is a set of tools, the best practices, which bring about a change in your organization. It assists in making changes in a safe and regulated manner, including enterprise, organization, government bodies, even families can utilize change management to manage changes. Change management models and methods come in a wide variety, but they all have key things in common. They include creating a clear vision of change, involving stakeholders in the process, coming up with a plan for putting the change in action, and keeping an eye on the results. Although change management is frequently viewed as a difficult and complicated process, it is vital for ensuring that digital transformation projects are successful. Okay. A properly implemented change management strategy can help an organization. How can change management help organization? Question. How can change management strategy really help an organization? One, specify the parameters and goals. It helps to specify the parameters and goals of digital transformation. It determines which procedures and tools need to be modified, makes a plan for implementing the improvements, involves staff members and parties in the transformation process, and track progress and make required course corrections, right? It can help an organization to be structured, help no chaos, help no disagreements, helps manage uh, mismanagement chances are lower. People are clear what is to be done, how is to be done, who will do what, everything is pretty clear. That's why a change management, a well structured change management strategy can really help an organization to save time, cost, money, and create that into a competitive advantage for themselves. Okay. The 5 best practices for managing change in small and medium sized businesses. Very frequently asked question in the examination. The case scenario type question में आ जाता है कि भाई Mahesh is doing a change management in his organization and he wants to bring about a solid change very quickly so that everybody accepts it. What are some best practices which he can use while managing this change? So, 5 best practices to manage change in small and medium sized businesses are: one, begin at the top. The change, the execution of the change should begin at the top. The top management should walk the talk. They should lead from the front. They should encourage people and themselves start using new tools. Begin at the top. Ensure that the change is both necessary and desired. You ensure कि भाई the change that you're about to bring is both necessary and desired. Unwanted नहीं होना चाहिए just because you want to be cool organization to mat karna. It should be both necessary and desired. Reduce disruption. Employee perception that is required is important. It reduces disruption. How? Getting the word out early and preparing the people for changes, giving staff members the knowledge and the tools, creating an environment that encourages transformation and change, creating a culture where people look at change as opportunity, change as something new to learn, rather than अरे यार फिर change हो गया कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. That should not be the culture. The culture should be, oh, there's a change again, a new opportunity to learn. Fourth, empowering change agents to provide context and clarity for changes, such as project managers or team leaders. Ensuring that IT department is informed of changes in technology or infra and is prepared to support them. Fourth, encourage communication. The best practice number 4 is encourage communication. Managers should talk to their reportees should talk to each other. They should freely be able to transparently talk to the top management if they face some issues, challenges, they want to highlight anything. The communication channels should be free and transparent. That's a best practice. And fifth best practice is recognize the change as the norm and not an exception. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए अच्छा ये तो चलो सीनियर मैनेजर है इनको जरूरत नहीं है चेंज कर इनको जरूरत नहीं है चेंज होने की नो nobody gets an exception, no quota, no exceptions, no bureaucracy, no आप भाई भतीजावाद कुछ नहीं करना. Recognize that change is the norm, not the exception. It is same for everybody. Everybody has to accept and work towards the change. Nobody gets an exception. Nobody gets an exception. That's a best practice of change management. That's a best practice of change management. Okay. How to manage change during digital transformation. How to manage change during digital transformation. Again, how do you manage change? One, specify the digital transformation aims and objectives. Always, always, always communicate. Be ready for resistance. Implement changes gradually. Slowly, steadily changes को लाना, abruptly नहीं लाना. Offer assistance and training to the employees. Offer them help, knowledge, assistance and training. ऐसा नहीं है आज से नया सॉफ्टवेयर है जाओ काम करो. सिखा तो दो. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to work on the new software, but teach me to assist and train people. Okay. Workers will need guidance in the new procedures, software applications, etc. That's what you would need. Okay. So 4 things. One, specify the digital transformation aims and objectives. Always, always, always communicate. Be ready for resistance. Implement changes gradually. Offer assistance and training. The 5 ways to manage change during digital transformation. These are the 5 points. Okay, very nice. With that, we complete our change management topic. Before I move on to the next one, any doubts and questions, please? I was just looking at the chat and I thought I'm getting some responses. Only one response so far. Thanks, Kriti. It's clear, very good. Change management, digital transformation, Kurt Levin's model, H.C. Keller's 3 ways to bring about a change in behavior of people. I hope all those points are clear. I would want others to respond as well. I'll just see. Okay. Okay, I'll be happy if you ask me more concepts, Shiv, but okay, overwhelming means uh, it means too much to handle. Overwhelming means too much to handle. Okay. Tanu clear, Binsi clear, Prem clear. Okay, very nice. Almas clear. Great. Kurt Levin's model and digital transformation is interlinked, right? Most of the points are the same. If you realize, most of the points in the 3 topics we have done are almost the same. It's just that how you write it. So they are interlinked. The answer is yes, because they're the same thing. We're talking about managing change, best practices, what to do, talk to people, communicate, don't make a rush, gradually implement, necessity kya hai, figure out what's the objective of the change, how do you want to change, inspire people. More or so, it's the same thing. Okay, absolutely, I can know. Some examples of digital transformation in practical business world. Absolutely, I can give you the same example right now. Uh, while you were in class 7th and 8th, जब क्लास 7th and 8th में थे, कभी सुना था पीडीएफ से पढ़ाई होगी? Did you even realize that you will be studying using laptops on PDF? The answer is no. Did you even know there could be online classes? Did you even know there could be online class? घर में बैठ के लैपटॉप बैठ के पढ़ रहे हैं. There was not, कुछ सोच भी नहीं सकता, right? इमेजिन भी नहीं कर सकते थे आप यार स्कूल बिना जाए घर पे कैसे पढ़ाएंगे. Today it's the normal. Today it's a preferred mode of education. Today it's the preferred mode. This is change. This is digital transformation. Businesses में पहले ये Teams, Zoom था ही नहीं. था भी तो nobody used to use it, right? After COVID, companies के लिए आपको travel करने की जरूरत है. You sit in India, you can work with American people on camera always. Video call करो, मजे करो, काम करो, घर बैठे. People sitting in tier 2, tier 3 cities are making money in dollars because of this digital transformation. But today it's the normal, right? For business बताता हूँ कैसे. Same thing for business. Like I'm saying, meetings, डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, मीटिंग्स आर डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन। और भी बता सकता हूँ आपको, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ओके, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव ऑर्डर्ड आईआरसीटीसी ट्रेन से आप ट्रैवल कर रहे हो, कितने लोगों ने वो ऑर्डर किया है कि नेक्स्ट स्टेशन पे खाना आ जाता है? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव एक्सपीरियंस्ड कि यू कैन ऑर्डर अ डोमिनोज, यू कैन ऑर्डर अ फूड थाली, एंड ऑन नेक्स्ट स्टेशन खाना आ जाता है आपके स्टेशन, नेक्स्ट स्टेशन पे? व्हेन यू ट्रैवलिंग इन ट्रेन थ्रू आईआरसीटीसी, यू कैन डू दैट, you can do that, right? Do that is digital transformation. That is digital transformation. किसने सोचा था आईआरसीटीसी इतना एडवांस हो जाएगा? I've used it, it's fantastic, very efficient, zero error पे काम करते हैं वो. That is digital transformation, right? All the businesses, for every business कुछ ना कुछ उनके internally कुछ ना कुछ digitize हो रहा है. For automotive, अब जो cars हैं today, the modern cars, if you go and buy a car, कार का डायग्नोसिस कैसे होता है? दे ओपन द बोनेट, दे पुट अ वायर, देयर इज अ प्लग, वो प्लग में डालते हैं, लैपटॉप से कनेक्ट करते हैं, एंड यू जस्ट हैव टू स्विच ऑन द कार. वो पूरा डायग्नोस कर देते हैं किस इंजन में, किस लाइन में, व्हाट, हाउ, व्हाट्स हैपनिंग इन विच पार्ट ऑफ द कार. डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इन ऑटोमोटिव इंडस्ट्री, it's happening in cars which are 10-12 lakh rupees. I'm not even talking about the high end cars. Basic cars में भी they just put in a plug, पूरा diagnosis हो जाता है. That is digital transformation, the change that has come in industries across. हर industry में कुछ ना कुछ change है. If you think about it, there is a change in every single industry. There is a change in every single industry, my friend. कोई industry ऐसी नहीं है जो बची है. How many of you have gone to McDonald's recently? वहाँ पे order लेना ही बंद कर दिया उन्होंने. There are screens, you order yourself, you pay through UPI, आपका order number आएगा, आप टेबल पे बैठो, खाना आ जाए. You don't have to go to the counter, place an order, give cash. खत्म ही कर दिया. You enter, there are 5 tall screens. You go and you search the menu. I want this, 1, 2, 3, add on, don't add on, tuck, tuck, tuck. Search करो. You get a slip, the order comes on the table. That's how digitization of operations and businesses is happening. Have you experienced this? It is happening. It is happening. That is all the change, the digital transformation. This is all change. Exactly. Right, Golti? Hota hai. You go to some fast food chains, there is nobody on the counter to take orders. Everything is digital. That is digitization of business. Across industry, आप जितना सोचोगे आपको उतना ज़्यादा examples खुद ही मिलेंगे. Okay? Let's go to organizational framework, the McKinsey 7S model. Okay. Before I go to McKinsey 7S model, what I'll do is we'll take a 5 minutes break. Okay. I'll quickly switch the rooms, like I told you, the electricity thing. I'll go to the main room. Give me 5 minutes. You guys take a 5 minutes break. Okay. I'll switch the rooms and we'll join back and start with McKinsey 7S model. Okay. Let's take a quick 5 minutes break and I'll join back with a different room. Okay. See you in 5 minutes. All right, everyone. So let us start with another very interesting topic, which is McKinsey 7S model. Okay. Now, what is McKinsey 7S model? It's a simple model which divides the entire organizational structure into two parts. Okay. It says one is your soft elements and the other is the hard elements. Now, hard elements, all of these are named with S letter. Okay. That's why it's called the McKinsey 7S model. McKinsey 7S model karta kya? Let's study from the study. The McKinsey 7S model refers to a tool that analyzes a company's organizational design. The goal of the model is to depict how effectiveness can be achieved. Excuse me? Effectiveness. What does effectiveness means? Formulation या execution, my दोस्त. The goal of the model is to depict how effectiveness can be achieved in an organization through interaction of hard and soft elements. Effectiveness क्या होती है? Is it formulation or is it implementation? Is it formulation or is it implementation? बताइए. What does effectiveness mean? Formulation or implementation? Absolutely, formulation. The goal of the model is to depict how effectiveness can be achieved in an organization through the interactions of hard and soft elements. The McKinsey 7S model focuses on how the soft S's and hard S's elements are interrelated, suggesting that modifying one aspect might have a ripple effect on other elements in order to maintain an effective balance. पढ़ते हैं. क्या है ये elements? What are these elements? Hard elements and soft elements. Let me zoom a little. The hard elements and the soft elements. 7S है, 3 hard है, 4 soft है. The 3 hard elements, 4 soft elements. 3 hard are 1 strategy, structure, and systems. The 3 hard elements are strategy, structure, and systems. The 4 soft elements are shared values, staff, skill, and style. The 4 soft elements are shared values, staff, skill, and style. The 3 hard elements are strategy, structure, and systems. Question to all of you. Why do you think strategy, structure, and systems are hard elements? Why do you think these are hard elements? Why do you think strategy, structure, and systems are categorized as hard elements? इनको hard elements क्यों बोला गया मेरे दोस्त? Why have they been classified as hard elements? It is not changed in the short term. Hard to change or update. Very nice. Because it cannot be changed. नहीं करना, change तो करना ही पड़ेगा. Change तो होंगे. Directly controlled by the management. वो तो shared values भी है. वो तो shared values भी है अंशु. Shared values भी directly control की जाती है. Style of leadership is also directly controlled by management. So why are these hard elements? बताइए. Correct. अंशु फंसे नहीं. Anshu reads the study material and answers, right? So the hard elements are directly controlled by the manager. The hard elements are directly controlled by the manager. Anshu, you did not get caught in my shared value wala trap question. Okay? Or rather, you didn't even answer. So maybe you were planning to change your answer. Right? ठीक है, अभी लिखता हूँ तब तक बता ही दें. The hard elements are called hard because they are directly controlled by me. अब इसको ऐसे समझिए. Okay? Understand hard and soft elements. I'll give you an example and then let's understand how. Okay? Let's take you back to that Shimla trip. You remember we were talking about the Shimla trip, the WhatsApp group, going to Shimla, enjoying with friends. Do you remember that example? Quick yes, no, yes. Awesome. We remember that example. The Shimla trip with friends. The strategy, the structure, and the systems. Let's say you are the organizer. Let's say you are the organizer. Let's say you are the organizer. तो आप क्या क्या कंट्रोल कर सकते हो डायरेक्टली. आप स्ट्रैटेजी कंट्रोल कर सकते हो कि हम लोग कहाँ जा रहे हैं, कितने बजे, कैसे जाएंगे, क्या करेंगे. एक प्लान आप बना सकते हो. द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ दिस एंटायर थिंग, कितने पैसे लगेंगे, बजटिंग क्या होगी, कितना लगेगा, एक प्लान का स्ट्रक्चर आप बना सकते हो. राइट. सिस्टम्स, बेसिकली व्हाट्सएप पे बात करेंगे, ग्रुप बना देंगे, जीपे से हो जाएगा, स्प्लिट वाइज पे जाके वील डू द मैथ्स फॉर ऑल द स्प्लिट ऑफ एक्सपेंसेस. We will do split wise, we will use WhatsApp group XYZ. The systems you will create. Question. Can you directly control the mood of the people on the trip? क्या आप डायरेक्टली कंट्रोल कर सकते हो एज द ऑर्गेनाइजर आपके दोस्तों का मूड स्विंग ड्यूरिंग द ट्रिप? The answer is no. Can you directly control one friend who is super dominating और वो प्लान चेंज करने पे फोर्स कर? Let's say you're saying first day we will go and see the church and the sunset. There is one dominating friend. The leadership style of that friend is नहीं हम चर्च सनसेट नहीं जाएंगे, आज रात को हम क्लबिंग करने जाएंगे. One dominating friend, can you manage their dominance directly as an organizer? The answer most likely is no, you cannot. Can you directly control what people think about your plan? Can you directly control? अगर 10 लोग जा रहे हैं, 7 people might like your plan, 3 people might say कि यार शिमला पता नहीं क्यों क्या प्लान बनाया है, टेम्पो ट्रैवलर से क्यों जा रहे हैं, वी कुड हैव गॉन थ्रू ट्रेन, ये खाना वेज क्यों रखा है, नॉन वेज खाना क्यों नहीं रखा है, ठंडा खाना मिले हमें तो, गाने भी ठीक नहीं चल रहे हैं. There could be multiple things. 7 people might like, 3 people might just not share the same plan value, might not have a shared vision, might not have a shared value of that trip like you. You can't control. What you can control is, as an organizer, you are the management, you are the organizer. You can control the strategy, you can control the structure, you can control the systems. What you cannot control are shared values, the style of people, the staff, कौन जाएगा कौन नहीं जाएगा, वो कैसे जाएगा, उसका स्किल क्या है, वो कितना खुश होगा, उसका प्रेफरेंस क्या है. You will try to cater, but can you directly control? The answer is no. Skills, the core competencies, लोगों की क्या skills है, can you directly control? The answer is no. How are people hiring? Core hirings कैसे हो रही हैं? Are people really skilled enough? मेरे plan से, मेरे structure से, you can't directly control. You can influence. Again, my friend, as the management, as the organizer, you can influence. ऐसा नहीं है आप कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते, आप कर सकते, यू आर द मैनेजमेंट, यू आर द ऑर्गेनाइजर, you can do a lot of stuff, you are powerful, but the point is you can influence, you cannot directly control. You can influence for sure, but can you directly control? Answer maybe, I don't know. Most likely you cannot. So those are the 7S of McKinsey, the hards and the softs. The hard elements. Strategy. What steps does the company intend to take to address current and future challenges? Structure. How is work divided? Who does what? How do different departments work and collaborate together? Systems. Which formal and informal processes in the company structure based on? SAP use करते हो, Tally use करते हो, Zoho Books use करते हो, Oracle Hyperion use करते हो, JD Edwards use करते हो, क्या क्विक बुक्स यूज करते हो, क्या यूज करते हो? सिस्टम. Soft elements are shared values. What is the idea the organization subscribes to? Is this idea communicated credibly to others? Staff. This element refers to employees' development and relevant processes, performance and feedback programs. Skill. What is the company's base of skills and competencies? Style. This depicts the leadership style and how it influences the strategic decisions of the organization. Okay. The 7S McKinsey model talks about the organizational structure. The McKinsey 7S talks about is a tool to analyze companies' organizational design and structure. The goal of the model is to depict how effectiveness can be achieved in an organization through hard and soft elements. Are these hard S's and soft S's interrelated? Yes or no? Are these interrelated? Are the hard elements and soft elements interrelated? Yes, they are. Absolutely wonderful. Pooja, Prem, Anshu, Mohit, Tanu, everybody says yes, they are interrelated. Awesome. Is it correct to conclude since soft elements are difficult to control, not difficult to control, they don't have direct control. Hence, they are more difficult to change as well. Generally, yes. They're not difficult to control. They're not under direct control. Hence, they are difficult to change. Okay? Very nice. You have to read this, my friend. While the McKinsey 7S model provides a structural approach to analyzing organizational effectiveness, it has certain limitations as well. It has certain limitations as well. It ignores the importance of external environment and depicts only the most crucial elements within the organization. बाहर की चीजों को इग्नोर करता है, एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट को इग्नोर करता है. That's a problem with McKinsey 7 as well. The second problem is the model does not clearly explain the concept of organizational effectiveness of performance. बात तो करता है कि effectiveness बढ़ा दूंगा, but ये नहीं बताता कैसे. The problem with the model is number one, it does not consider external environment. Number two, it does not clearly explain the concept of effectiveness and performance and how can one achieve with these seven S's. The model is considered to be more static and less flexible for decision making. Because yes, 7S दे दिया आपने, I can think about 10 S's also. I can think about 5 more kinds of S's that need to be addressed in an organization. But this model is static. It's not flexible for decision making. Okay, ये 7 है, इसी 7 पे काम. So the model is considered to be more static and less flexible. Each organization will have a different set of problems. each kind of business industries can be different. अब मैं आपको कहूँ भाई मैं हॉस्पिटल इंडस्ट्री में हूँ वर्सेस मैं आपका एआई टेक्नोलॉजी इंडस्ट्री में हूँ. My problems are different. My change management is different. My speed of change management is different. My need of change is different. How can everybody be in McKinsey 7 as well? It's more static and less flexible. It is generally criticized for missing out the real gaps in conceptualization and execution of strategy. वो कह रहे हैं बहुत theoretical है, कागजों पे बहुत अच्छा लगता है, एग्जीक्यूशन कैसे करना है. There are real gaps in execution and conceptualization in this model. Work on the skills of the people. How? ये तो बताते ही नहीं. Work on the shared values. How? तो पता ही नहीं. The model is good for conceptual planning. The model is good for direction. Same like SWOT. SWOT analysis की भी यही problem है. SWOT analysis helps you in identification. ये जितने भी एनालिसिस हम करते हैं ना, स्वॉट, पेस्टेल, मैकेंजी 7S, राइट, ये हमको बताते ही नहीं है हमें करना क्या. वाइल मेंडेलोज, बीसीजी, एडीएल, ये सब हमें बताते हैं कि करना क्या. यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आई एम सेइंग? व्हेन यू गो टू मेंडेलोज इट सेज ओ दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सन बट पावर नहीं है, just keep them informed. It is telling you what you have to do. No power, no influence, ignore that person. Oh, high power, high influence, hey, they are key player. Keep them informed, include them in decision making, ask them everything, tell them everything. It gives you directions ki karna kya. SWOT analysis कुछ बताते ही नहीं. SWOT analysis helps you in identification. It does not help you in execution. SWOT, PESTEL, McKinsey 7S are identification tools good for formulation. BCG, ADL, Mendelos, these are good for execution. Formulation से ज्यादा execution पे focus करते हैं. PESTEL, SWOT, McKinsey 7S formulation पे ज्यादा focus करते हैं. They don't tell you कि करना क्या है. They just tell you ऐसा कुछ कर लो तो अच्छा होगा. क्या करना is your focus. This is your समझदार. Is that clear, my friend? Is that a new thing that you have just learned about the models in strategic management? Yes. Formulation and implementation जब समझोगे तभी मॉडल समझ आएगा कि यार सॉर्ट तो बताते ही नहीं करना क्या. बीसीजी वाला तो कहते हैं अच्छा कैश काउ है भाई और पैसे कमाओ इससे. स्टार है इन्वेस्ट मनी फॉर ग्रोथ. इट टेल्स यू व्हाट टू डू. राइट. Can we go to the next topic, my friends? 5.4.1 Organization Structure. बहुत मजेदार, बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है ये चैप्टर का पार्ट. What does this sentence mean? Soft elements are difficult to define as they are more governed by the culture. Absolutely. Ab skills, style, shared values, all of these are governed by the culture. See, how is the culture? Are people motivated? Politics है ऑफिस में. अगर ऑफिस में ऑफिस पॉलिटिक्स चल रहा है, then the style of leadership is not good. People will have no shared value. लोग एक दूसरे को पसंद ही नहीं करते, right? So it is soft elements are difficult to define because they're governed by the culture. If the culture is not nice, if the culture is competitive, too much politics, too much like fights between the people, the organization, disagreement between the management, disagreement with the shareholders and investors, then soft skill आप कितना भी चाहो, very difficult to define and implement and figure out कि इनके साथ करना. So that's why soft elements are difficult to define as they are more governed by the culture. Okay, great. Organization structure. आज हम बात करेंगे organization structure. The ideal organizational structure is a place where ideas filter up as well as down, where the merit of ideas carry more weight than their source, and where participation and shared objectives are valued more than executive. एक आइडियल ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर वो है जहां पे आइडियाज फ्री फ्लो कर सकते. देयर इज नो ब्यूरोक्रेसी वेयर द मेरिट ऑफ आइडियाज कैरी मोर वेट देन द सोर्स. अरे वो उस आदमी से आया है, दैट डेजिग्नेशन. हाउ कैन एन लाइक सीनियर एनालिस्ट टेल अ वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ स्ट्रेटेजी व्हाट टू डू? ये वाला एटीट्यूड अगर है तो आपकी कंपनी डेड है. इट्स अ डेड कंपनी. The merit of idea carries more weight than the source की कौन बता रहा है. And where participation and shared objectives are valued more than executive order. साहब लोग ने बोल दिया ऐसा ही होगा. The lords of the company, the management have told it, this is how it will be. Nobody challenges it. Nobody asks questions. Company is gonna go down. Somebody has to raise voice respectfully, raise voice and ask the right questions. I don't think this is right. Because what do you think? If they say, oh, this is how it is, I am telling you what to do, you do what I tell you to do, maybe not the place for me. It's okay. It means a lot of people would move out very soon. People like being recognized. People like being loved. People like being appreciated, right? That's what a good organization structure is all about. Changes in corporate strategy often require changes in the way an organization is structured for two major reasons. One, structure largely dictates how operational objectives and policies will be established. For example, objectives and policies established under the geographic organizational structure are couched in geographic terms. Objectives and policies are stated largely in terms of products in an organization whose structure is based on the product. Now, if the strategy changes from being product focused from a geography focused, then the change of structure also needs to. The second major reason why changes in strategy often require changes in structure is that structure dictates how resources will be allocated to achieve strategic objectives. समझ आया या नहीं आया? I know it's complex. I have very easy, simple example. पहले ये बताओ, did you guys understand this one? Let's be honest. नहीं आया. Okay? नहीं समझ आया. ये क्या बोला, समझ ही नहीं आया. आपने तो पढ़ दिया, समझ ही नहीं आया. ठीक है. Okay. Very nice. Let me take an example. Let me take an example of, लेते हैं, let's say soap company. ठीक है? There's a soap company. This soap company has, let's say Lux, Dove, और एक random साबुन. ठीक है? Let's say it has a random soap. Three soaps. This company sells three types of soaps. एक है Lux, एक है Dove, and let's say Tresemme. Let's say it's a Tresemme or some other big brand. Let's say कोई भी बड़ा brand ले लीजिए. तीन categories में है. Basic 20 rupee soap, 50 rupee soap, 100 rupee soap. ठीक है? It makes three kinds of soaps: 20 rupee, 50 rupee, 100 rupee soap. अब ये कंपनी पूरे वर्ल्ड में सेल्स करती है. ठीक है? पूरे वर्ल्ड में they are selling these three soaps, the same name, Lux, Dove, and let's say X. Okay? आज की डेट में the company is structured geography wise. जैसे एशिया में कितनी सेल्स हुई, यूरोप में कितनी सेल्स हुई, how much was my sales in US and Canada, how much was my sales in Latin America, which is अर्जेंटीना, चिली, ब्राजील, वहां पे मेक्सिको में कितनी सेल हुई मेरी, यूएस कनाडा में कितनी हुई, यूरोप में कितनी हुई, अफ्रीका में कितनी हुई, मिडिल ईस्ट में कितनी हुई, एशिया में कितनी हुई, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में कितनी हुई. उन्होंने ऐसे अपनी ज्योग्राफी के बेसिस पे दे अंडरस्टैंड देयर बिजनेस. नाउ दे से नहीं यार बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो रहा है, समझ नहीं आ रहा है कहाँ पे कौन सी सेल हो रही है, कितना साबुन कहाँ बेचें. द मार्केट्स आर डिफरेंट, द नीड्स ऑफ द कस्टमर आर डिफरेंट. Asian people are more into 20 rupee soap. The European people are more into 100 rupee soap. The US, the Latin America is more into 50 rupee soap. So, अब सब कुछ मिक्स एंड मैच हो रहा है, समझ नहीं आ रहा है कहाँ पे कितना बनाएं, कितना प्राइस रखें, थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग. सो लेट्स just divide or restructure our organization based on product rather than geography. So now they have three ways of looking at the business. They say 20 rupees soap, 50 rupees soap, and 100 rupees soap. 20 rupees soap को जब वो देखते हैं वो says, oh okay, so the biggest sales of 20 rupees soaps are coming from the Southeast Asian countries and India. The second largest sale is coming from Middle East, then Africa, then China, then this, then this. अब वो 20 rupees soap को country wise देखते हैं rather than country wise looking at the three soaps. So they switched how they look at the data, how they look at their strategy. तो अब जो geographical head थे एशिया के, वो क्या करेंगे? या तो उनको निकाला जाएगा या तो उनको बोला जाएगा गुड बाय, right? Either there will be a restructuring of the organization. You might be hearing about layoffs. Have you heard about layoffs in PwC, Microsoft, Google, IBM में हो रहे हैं? Companies are doing layoffs where people are being asked to leave 10, 12 years of experience and loyalty to the company, and the company says, sorry, we don't need your services anymore. Because the companies are restructuring. अब वो जब रीस्ट्रक्चर कर रहा है, कह रहा है इतने सारे लोगों की मुझे जरूरत ही नहीं है. अब मेरे पास पहले 8 कॉन्टिनेंट्स थे. थिंक अबाउट दिस. I had 8 ways. So Middle East, in Latin America, US, Europe, Asia, China, Southeast Asia, Australia. हर किसी का एक business head. I had 8 business heads. Today I just need 3. I just need 3 business heads. 20 रुपीज सोप वाले, 50 वाले और 100. मेरे को सिर्फ 3 बिजनेस हेड्स चाहिए. एंड आई कैन आस्क देम क्वेश्चंस कि आपकी बिजनेस में कौन सी कंट्री में क्या हो रहा है मुझे समझाओ. मेरे को सिर्फ 3 लोग चाहिए. सो विद फ्रॉम 8 पीपल आई जस्ट नीड 3. बाकी 5 का क्या होगा? क्या होगा दोस्त बाकी 5 का? बाकी 5 का होगा ले ऑफ. बाकी 5 का होगा थैंक यू फॉर योर सर्विस. That is what is happening in the industry. That is what is happening. Organizational structures change हो रहे हैं. With new technology, with new digital transformation, the change through digital transformation is leading to change in organizational structures. The change through digital transformation, the ways of looking at business is changing the organization. That is why 2 reasons for which you will need the organizational structure to change is: 1, when the strategy changes. 1, when changes in strategy require change in structure, is the structure dictates how resources are allocated. You need to change when the strategy changes, and thus the resource allocation changes with the change in strategy, and therefore you need to change the structure as well. Structure should be designed or redesigned to facilitate the strategic pursuit of a firm. Structure should be designed or redesigned to facilitate the strategic pursuit of a firm. What is appropriate for one organization may not be appropriate for a similar firm. Although successful firms in a given industry tend to operate or organize themselves in similar ways. Consumer good companies, for example, tend to emulate the divisional structure by product form of business. Small firms tend to be functionally structured. Medium-sized firms tend to be divisionally structured. Large firms tend to be an SBU, strategic business unit or matrix structure. As the organizations grow, their structures generally change from simple to complex as a result of linking together of several basic strategies. Okay, strategies. There's a guy called Chandler. Chandler's strategic structure relationship says a new strategy is formed, new problems emerge, organizational performance declines, new organizational structure is established, organizational performance improves, and a new strategy is formed, and new problems emerge, and organizational performance declines. Then the new organizational structure is established, organization's performance improves, and again a new strategy is formed. चलता रहता चलता ही रहता है नेवर एंडिंग प्रोसेस है मेरे दोस्त तभी तो डेली ऑफिस जा रहे हैं लोग why are people going to office every single day because it is a cycle my friend cycle है चलता रहता है it's a cycle keeps on going and going and going and going and going types of organizational structure. Number one, simple structure. Most appropriate for companies that follow a single business strategy and offer a line of product in a single geographical market. The simple structure also is appropriate for companies implementing focused cost leadership or focused differentiation strategies. Little specialization of tasks, few rules, little formalization, unsophisticated information systems, and direct involvement of owner, manager in all phases of day-to-day operations characterize the simple structure. In the simple structure, communication is frequent and direct, and new products tend to be introduced to the market quickly. Right? Tend to be introduced to the market quickly, which can result in a competitive advantage. Now, because of these characteristics, few of the coordination problems that are common in large organizations exist. A simple structure may result in competitive advantages for some small companies related to their larger counterparts. Now, these potential competitive advantages include a broad-based openness to innovation, a greater structural flexibility, simple structure, and an ability to respond more rapidly to environmental changes. Question. अब देखते हैं आप स्टडी मटेरियल पढ़ पा रहे हो. Give me 2 advantages of simple structure quickly in the chat. Give me 2 advantages of simple structure. Everybody active on the chat. I want each one of you to be active on the chat. Give me 2 advantages of simple structure. Two advantages of simple structure in the chat. I want it from everybody. I want it from everybody. Sona nahi hai. Sunday doesn't mean you have to sleep. Be active. Greater structural flexibility. Very nice and true. What more? Few rules. Okay. Okay. I'm looking at the chat. Less coordination. Problem simple to implement. Faster communication. Okay. less coordination problems, faster communication, give competitive advantage. ठीक है, okay. More flexibility, ability to respond fast, little formalization, very nice. Most appropriate for single business strategic, quick decision making process, absolutely Mohit, very important. ये सबसे पहले आना चाहिए simple structure में. Quick decision making, highly adaptable, Dolphy, very nice. That's also one of the a few answers you should get first, right? Highly adaptable, quick decision making, little formalization, simple structure. इसका सबसे बड़ा कीवर्ड पता है क्या? The biggest keyword is this. The biggest keyword of simple structure is direct involvement of owner manager in all phases of day-to-day operations. Characterize the simple structure. Direct involvement of owner manager in all phases of day-to-day operations. That is the biggest keyword of simple structure. मालिक ही सारा काम खुद करते हैं. The manager, the owner, does all the work themselves in all phases, all day-to-day operations. That is the biggest keyword of simple structure. However, if they are successful, small companies grow large. As a result of this growth, the company outgrows the simple structure, and generally, there are significant increase in amount of completely relevant information that requires processing. अब ओनर मैनेजर सब काम खुद नहीं कर सकता है because lack of time, volume of business बड़ा हो चुका. When the simple small company grows and the simple structure चाहते हैं वो they cannot no longer keep close to themselves. Why? Because volume of work बढ़ गया, lack of time है, right? And the company outgrows the simple structure. Now they have to focus on only the core things. They cannot do everything themselves. Thus, it is incumbent on the company's managers to recognize the inadequacies or inefficiencies of simple structure and change the organizational structure once it grows. To coordinate more complex organizational functions, the company should abandon simple structure and move to functional structure. The functional structure is used by medium-sized organizations with low levels of diversification. Excuse me, keyword दे दिया क्या आपने? The functional structure is to be used by larger companies, larger than small, which means medium-sized companies, but the companies with low levels of diversity. Functional structure is for companies with low levels of diversification. Functional structure. ऐसा लिखो. Functional structure कुछ ऐसा. पहले तो समझते हैं functions क्या. In the corporate world, there is core business. ठीक है? एक तो business होता है और business को support करते हैं functions like finance, functions like procurement, functions like R&D, functions like marketing, functions like HR, functions like planning. ये लोग are called functions which support the core business. When I organize my business, when I organize my business based on functions, it's called functional structure. It's called functional structure. इसको कैसे समझें? ठीक है जी, इसको कैसे समझें? अगर आपका एक ही बिजनेस है तो आपको सिंपल आपके 5 functions है, you ask and you have one core business and you divide it into functions. You have finance function, R&D, planning, marketing, human resource. Simple. Everyone has an executive, so finance has a CFO, a CMO, chief marketing officer, chief R&D officer, chief human resource, CHRO, chief human resource officer, right? Planning, operations, chief operations officer, COO. बना के आप मैनेज कर सकते हो अपनी कंपनी. आप ऊपर बैठे हो सीईओ, आपके पास फंक्शनल लीड्स है एंड यू टेक डिसीजंस ऑन योर बिजनेस. सिंपल, प्रीटी सिंपल. इसको बोलते हैं फंक्शनल. यहां समझते. अ वाइडली यूज्ड स्ट्रक्चर इन बिजनेस, a widely used structure in business organizations is functional type because of its simplicity and low cost. A functional structure groups tasks and activities by business function, such as production, operations, marketing, finance, accounting, R&D, and management information system. Besides being simple and inexpensive, a functional structure also promotes specialization of labor, encourages efficiency, and minimizes the need for an elaborate control system and allows rapid decision making. Advantages आपकी स्क्रीन पे है. सिंपल है, इनएक्सपेंसिव है, encourages efficiency, promotes specialization because आप उस फंक्शन के स्पेशलिस्ट से पूछते हो, minimizes the need to elaborate control system and rapid decision. The benefits of functional structure. However, compared to simple structure, there are some problems as well. Differences in functional specialization and orientation may impede communication. The marketing head wants to spend 5 crores on Virat Kohli. Finance department says return on investment नहीं आएगी आपकी, बहुत ज्यादा पैसे दे रहे हो, you don't have the budget, बाकी चीजें काटनी पड़ेंगी हमें, इतना बजट नहीं है हमारा हम विराट कोहली अफोर्ड कर सके. Differences in functional specialization and orientation may impede communication and coordination. Thus, the CEO must integrate functional decision making and coordinate actions of overall business across functions. Functional specialists often may develop a myopic or narrow perspective, losing sight of the company's strategic vision and mission. When this happens, this problem can be overcome by implementing the multi-divisional structure. When this happens, this problem can be overcome by implementing the multi-divisional structure. अब multi-divisional structure की ये जो है, इस फंक्शनल स्पेशलिस्ट आपस में एक दूसरे की बात नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं, तो फिर हम मल्टी डिविजनल स्ट्रक्चर की ओर चलते. Can we assume in case we implement functional structure so that we are stressing more on functional managers instead of corporate and business managers? No. It is not based on functional level. It is based on functions. Please, Golti, you have to understand the difference between functional level and functions is different. Functional structure does not talk about functional level people taking decisions. It talks about dividing the company or managing the company, categorizing it based on the functions, which is HR, finance, procurement, XYZ. It does not mean functional level managers are going to take decisions. Okay? It just means it's divided based on functions. तो अब ये divisional structure क्या चीज? As a firm grows year after year, it faces difficulty in managing different products and services in different ways. Some form of divisional structure generally becomes necessary to motivate employees, control operations, and compete successfully in diverse locations. The divisional structure can be organized in one of the four ways. Exam-oriented statement, please remember. The divisional structure can be organized in one of the four ways: by geographic area, by product or service, by customer, or by process. The divisional structure can be organized in one of the four ways: by geographic area, or by product or service, by customer, or by process. With the divisional structure, functional activities are performed both centrally and in each division separately. By geographic area, by product or by service, by customer or by process. With a divisional structure, functional activities are performed both centrally and in each division separately. कैसे होता है? डिवीजन को आप ज्योग्राफिक एरिया पे बांटो, जैसे मैं आपको बता रहा था एपैक, मिडिल ईस्ट, यूएस, लैटिन अमेरिका. आप प्रोडक्ट के बेसिस पे बांटो, लाइक आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट द सोप्स. आप कस्टमर के बेसिस पे बांट सकते हो, मेल, फीमेल, विमेन सेगमेंट, मेन सेगमेंट, ओल्ड एज, यंग एज, न्यू एज, जेन जी, जेन एक्स. कस्टमर बेस पे बांटो और प्रोसेस के बेसिस पे बांटो कि भाई दिस इज, लेट्स से, इंडस्ट्रीज विच आर इन पेंट, तो प्रोसेस के बेसिस पे बांट दो कि भाई दिस इज वुडन पेंट, दिस इज मेटल पेंट, दिस इज. एवरी प्रोडक्ट हैज अ डिफरेंट प्रोसेस ऑफ मेकिंग दैट प्रोडक्ट. वुड पेंट है, मेटल पेंट है, प्लास्टिक पेंट है, जैसे भी प्रोसेस है, जैसे उसकी प्रोसेसिंग होती है, उस बेसिस पे आप. दैट इज ऑल्सो हाउ यू कैन क्रिएट डिविजन्स. अब डिविजन्स कैसे देखो. अब चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव के पास सीएफओ, सीईओ, फंक्शनल हेड्स तो हैं, फंक्शनल हेड्स तो हैं, बट उनके पास अब डिविजनल हेड्स भी हैं. द चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑफिसर हैज द फंक्शनल हेड्स. फंक्शनल हेड्स तो हैं ही, बट डिविजनल हेड्स भी आ गए हैं, और ईच डिविजन हेड के पास उनकी अपनी सारी फंक्शंस की टीम है. ईच डिविजनल head, the general manager of division, will have their own functional team as well, which will eventually report to the divisional manager as well as overall the functional head as well. So if there are two divisions, each division will have their own marketing, production, HR, finance. The division 2 will have its own marketing team, own finance team, own production team, और HR team. अब divisional पे बांट दिया. अब ये सारे जो functional लोग हैं, the functional people like marketing, HR, ये अपने ऊपर जो functional heads है, जो उनके functional heads है, उनके पास भी जाके report करेंगे कि भाई this is what is happening in finance in my division. While the divisional manager will tell the senior executives like the CFO and the CEO, this is what is happening in my division. This is what is happening in my division is basically your divisional structure. Do you understand the structure? Do you understand the structure? Divisional structure. समझ आया या नहीं आया? Divisional structure. Yes, clear. Awesome. Very good. Very good. This is called divisional structure method. Okay. A divisional structure has some clear advantages. First and foremost, accountability is clear. किसको क्या करना है सबको पता. Accountability is very clear. That is, divisional managers can be held responsible for sales and profit loss. Because a divisional structure is also based on extensive delegation of authority, managers and employees can easily see the results of their good or bad performance. As a result, employee morale is generally higher in divisional structure than it is in centralized functional structure. Other advantages of the divisional design are that it creates career development opportunities. It creates career development opportunities, right? How? A finance manager of division A can move to division B. अगर वो division A के काम से बोर हो गए, monotony आ गई है, they can move within the divisions. It creates a sense of career development opportunity. डिवीजन ए और डिवीजन बी के बीच में हमेशा कंपटीशन रहेगा. A healthy competitive environment will be created between the divisions as well, which will then ensure teams deliver more than what is expected. Healthy competitive climate बन जाता है because there are two divisions, they will compete with each other as well. Right? And it allows new business and products to be added easily. एक और डिवीजन बना दो. आपको ज्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना है. आपको नया बिजनेस, एक नया प्रोडक्ट रेंज निकालना है, नया कुछ काम करना है रिलेटेड टू दिस नया प्रोडक्ट, नई ज्योग्राफी में जाना है, कुछ नहीं, एक नया डिवीजन बना दो. डिवीजन ए था, डिवीजन बी था, अब डिवीजन सी भी हो जाएगा. सो एक्सपेंशन ऑफ दिस स्ट्रक्चर इज वेरी इजी. The other advantage is the expansion of this structure is very easy, but it also comes with some limitations. Maybe. Okay, finance manager of division A will report to general manager as well as corporate finance manager. They will only report, यहाँ पे see, in divisional structure, Mohit, they will only report to divisional manager, the general manager of the division. The corporate finance head के पास reporting नहीं होती in divisional. वो जो आप कह रहे हो कि general manager also, corporate finance head also, that is matrix structure. The finance head will overlook the finance of overall all divisions. वो जो division के अंदर finance manager बैठा है, they are the head of finance of that division. They will not report to the CFO, but they will be obviously answerable and accountable. Reporting division में ही रहती. But जो CFO, the overall head of finance of the company, will look after all the divisions and ask questions from these divisional finance managers. Right? Reporting नहीं होगी, but accountability होगी. Reporting होती है matrix structure. मैट्रिक्स स्ट्रक्चर में डुअल रिपोर्टिंग होती है. डिविजनल स्ट्रक्चर में डुअल रिपोर्टिंग जनरली नहीं होती. ओके, जनरली नहीं होती. ओके, it does not come without limitations. The limitations of divisional structure. The most important limitation is that the divisional structure is costly. जितने divisions हैं उतने ज्यादा लोग रखने पड़ेंगे. Each division requires functional specialists who must be paid. जितने ज्यादा लोग होंगे उतना ज्यादा खर्चा होगा. ट्रैवल करेंगे, सैलरी लेंगे, रीइंबर्समेंट्स लेंगे, ऑफिस चाहिए उतना बड़ा, आपको उतने लोगों को बिठाने का ऑफिस भी चाहिए. The more the number of people you need, the more will be the cost. Second, there exists some duplication of staff services, facilities, and person. For instance, a functional specialist also needs centrally at headquarters to coordinate with divisional activities. अब फाइनेंस मैनेजर तो एक सारे डिवीजन का काम भी कर सकता था इफ इट्स ऑलमोस्ट सेम, बट नहीं, अब आपको ज्यादा लोग चाहिए, which means there is duplication of efforts. There is duplication of efforts. Third, managers must be well qualified because the divisional design forces delegation of authority. Better qualified individuals require higher salaries. अब वो भी कॉस्टली है भाई दोस्त। अब आपको पूरा डिवीजन चलाना है तो आप एक जूनियर रिसोर्स तो नहीं ले सकते, आपको कोई सीनियर रिसोर्स लेना पड़ेगा, तो आपको फिर कॉस्ट आएगी। A divisional structure can also be costly because it requires an elaborate headquarter driven control system. Finally, certain regions, products, or customers may sometimes receive special treatment, and it may be difficult to maintain consistent company wide practices. Nonetheless, for most large organizations and many small firms, the advantages of divisional structure more than offset the potential limitations. एग्जाम का क्वेश्चन है दोस्तों, और यहाँ पे आपको एडवांटेजेस और लिमिटेशंस दोनों समझाने पड़ते हैं। यहाँ पे आपको एडवांटेजेस और डिसएडवांटेजेस दोनों समझाने पड़ते हैं। In most of the large organizations and many small firms, the advantages of a divisional structure more than offset the potential limitations. Okay. Divisional structure by geographic area is appropriate for organizations which formulated to fit particular needs and characteristics of the customers in geographical areas. The divisional structure by product is more effective for implementing strategies at product and which needs special emphasis, right? It is widely used when organization offers only a few products or services. This type of structure, the geographical structure, is appropriate for organizations that have similar branch facilities located in widely dispersed areas. Product level are appropriate when they have few products. Okay. When few major customers are of paramount importance and many different services are provided to these customers, then a divisional structure by customer can be effective. Like B2B business, B2C business, C2C, D2C business के बीच में डिवाइड करते हैं। मान लीजिए आई एम अ सप्लायर ऑफ स्पाइसेस, मैं ऐसा आपको समझाता हूँ, सिंपल एग्जांपल समझाता हूँ। लेट्स से आई सप्लाई पोटैटोस, ठीक है, मेरा होलसेल का काम है, आलू बेचता हूँ मैं, आलू आलू बेचने का, पोटैटोज इज व्हाट आई सेल ऑलमोस्ट 5,000 kgs of potatoes every single day. 3,000 kg is bought by uh, the food courts of the mall. मेरे पास 4 मॉल है, I have 4 malls where I supply potatoes. All the restaurants in the food court need potato. कोई मसाला डोसा बन रहा है, आलू टिक्की बर्गर बन रहा है, आलू चाहिए, आलू पूड़ी बन रहा है, सबको आलू चाहिए, सबको आलू चाहिए, राइट? नाउ द I have 4 food courts in 4 malls जिनको मैं 3,000 kg of आलू every single day देता हूँ। बाकी 2,000 kg I sell to another 20 restaurants in my area, small restaurants in my area. उनको मैं किसी को 10 किलो, किसी को 15 किलो, किसी को 50 किलो I sell
some electricity issue with the faculty. He will be back within 2-3 minutes. Till the time, if you are having any doubts related to examination or anything related to strategic management, you all are welcome to say, send your doubts through chat. If anyone have any doubts, okay, students, tell me one thing that do you need any change or do you need any improvement in the classes? What do you feel? Okay. Can you please tell me important topics in strategic management? Oh my God. Beta, first of all, I always said in the class that all the chapters are having equal weightage. So there is nothing important, nothing unimportant. You have to do, it's a very small study material. I don't think so that it is still required that we have to tell you the important topics or so. Am I right, Ajit?
That's right, ma'am. 30-40 pages of each
Yeah,
chapter. Very small.
students are asking about the important topics in strategic management. So I'm saying that all the chapters are important. There is nothing unimportant, and moreover, all the chapters are interlinked.
Correct.
And the concepts are also interlinked. अगर आप skip कर करके study करेंगे तो it will never help you. Okay, thank you, Ajit. You can
Thanks, ma'am.
continue, please.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry, guys, for the glitch again. Like I told you, some issues, but we are back. I think we were doing divisional structure and we are already 9:05. I anyway had to start the question and answer session. So what we have done today is we have talked about change management, digital transformation and change. We talked about the organizational structures. The three important, you start when you're small with a simple structure. When you grow, you become a more centralized functional structure. And when you grow further, when their complexities are more in the business, you move on to a divisional structure, which is more decentralized, right? So that is how we are moving in organizational structure. Next class, we continue with organizational structures. We'll talk about multi-divisional, matrix, network, hourglass, and then we move on to the next piece, which is again more important, which is how do you control and evaluate. Currently, we are talking about implementation. The next class, next weekend, will be on actually controlling and evaluating. And post that, we will work on all our exam-oriented questions and practice. Like we have said, assignments are there. You have to practice that. Ample questions on the BOS website. More than sufficient questions are available. Past year questions are available. Suggested answers are available. We'll practice those together. I'll do that with you for sure. But the effort has to be yours. I can just help and guide you. Exam आपका है, आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Okay. With that,
Okay,
yes, ma'am.
there is a question from Mohit
Sure.
that when would the exam schedule for September 25 exams be released? Mohit, I would like to ask you whether you are asking for the date sheet or you are asking for the mock test schedule. If it is date sheet, then it is already in the public domain, right? As well as on the institute's website. Or if you are asking for mock test series, so for mock test series, it is already published in the students journal. The schedule is already, we are creating division, so we can control. Okay. So I would say that in this June 2025 issue, it is already published. Otherwise, I will also tell you, give me a second. For mock test papers, series 1 will start from 21st of July to 26th of July. And series 2 will start from 4th of August to 11th of August. for intermediate, right? And success at CA exam will also start from 28th July to 31st July for series 1, and for series 2 it will start from 12th August to 18th August. And as in our last class we told you that live virtual revisionary classes will also start for intermediate from 15th July to 20th August, and in between we are having a class on all the Sundays, revisionary classes for all the Sundays, and it will start from 13th of July. Right?
That's right, ma'am.
Okay, continue, Arjit.
Thank you, ma'am. Guys, you can start sharing your questions. If you want to talk to us live, we'll be happy to unmute you, ask your questions as well. We are creating divisions so we control more effectively. That is right. That is right. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to ask doubts from any of the chapters that are burning. If you're practicing, we'll be happy to answer that as well. You can unmute yourself, ask a question. Use this time to get your queries resolved. Ma'am is here, I am here, I can help you with things. Ma'am can help you with a lot with exam prep things. Use this opportunity and send in your questions. Again, like I told you, I am now sure, or I trust you guys that you at least know the format of the question paper. How does the format come? Part A is going to be MCQ, part B is going to be subjective questions. The subjective questions will have question number 5, which is compulsory. Then out of the 3, you have to do M2, right? I hope you now know what kind of questions come, how the questions come. You're reading, at least you know what you're preparing for. I'm trusting you with this because we have done that already in the class. I'm trusting because we have done in the class that you at least know the exam aata kaise. Yesterday's matrices question, when I explained that, the first thing I started the class with the same thing, which is effective and efficient. We were talking about medicine. Paracetamol is effective, but if you drink it with Coke, it's not, it's inefficiency. So you will still survive because it's a medicine and it's effective, but you're drinking it with soft drink, then it's inefficient. So we were talking about that and we solved that question. Sure, that's okay, Mark. You can watch on YouTube or the recorded session. We started with that topic. Is there any negative side in Porter's generic strategies? No, there is no negative side. They're just strategies. They may work or they may not work depending on the environmental situation. There is a negative side to it. Chandler's strategy structure relationship. Can I please explain once more? Okay. What does Chandler say? Let me open the study material and do it together with you. Okay, it's better if you present and show. Chandler's strategy structure says that things are cyclical. Okay, it says that it's a cycle where when you devise a strategy, new problems emerge. When new problem emerge, your performance goes down. You change your structure of way of doing things. Organizational structure change means you change the way you do things and your performance improves. When your performance improves, you start becoming bigger, you grow, and then you bring in a new strategy for further growth, further improvement. When you bring a new strategy, new problems emerge, then your performance starts going down again. You change the way of doing things, which is new organizational structure. Your performance improves, you start growing again, you make a new strategy, and new problems emerge. It is cyclical. It's cyclical. That is what Chandler says. Okay? That is what Chandler says. Good that you guys are asking because you're confused. That's what the use of this session is. Any more questions? Exam, concept, how social culture environment affects business? It does a lot. You can't open, okay, can't you open a meat shop in a community, in a Jain community? Let's say you want to open a business, you stay in a Jain community in around 1 kilometer, everybody is follows like worships Jainism. आप जाके वहां पे आप मीट शॉप खोल सकते हो क्या? खोल तो सकते हो, चलेगी या नहीं चलेगी? नहीं चलेगी. That is social culture environment. Social cultural environment is going to affect your business. As simple as that. That's the rawest form of impact I can tell you. And there are many other. The trends, right? Social cultural है. अब आपका social culture कुछ भी हो सकता है. It can be religion, it can be customs, it can be anything. Social cultural environment में आपको बताता हूँ. When there are Navratri, right? Navratri, the 9 days of fasting by a lot of Hindu people. So the sales of onion goes down. Social cultural environment of those. On 9 days में people don't consume onions or garlic. So sale नीचे चली जाती है. It's a business impact of a social cultural phenomenon because it's people's customs. That is also a social cultural impact. Great. What else? Think about your questions. What's the issue that you're facing? Happy to answer. Also, please keep an eye on the schedule.
I would like to add
Sure.
one more example of this socio-cultural environment, Ajit.
Sure.
As we are addressing the youth people, though I can give you an example of McDonald's. Right? I think all of us went to McD and we saw that in India, typically McD come up with aloo tikki and paneer wraps, but it's not like same in US because there people like to eat beef, chicken, burgers more in comparison to this. I think
Correct.
in US there is no aloo tikki burger and anything
Exactly.
like that. So it totally depends upon the socio-cultural environment of that particular area.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Thanks, ma'am. That's a great example.
Yeah.
I think most of us will relate to it. And
Yeah.
further, once we are professionals, we travel the world, we get to see such more examples live. When you guys big, become bigger in your career and you travel around, you see so many examples, and then it clicks you. Oh, this is a social cultural impact on a business, right? What's market niche and how to identify one? Market niche is the specific market which likes your product. The specific uh, market pocket which likes your product is called a niche market. For example, hair loss medication. कौन लेगा वो? Hair loss medication. Who will take a hair loss medication? जिसको hair loss है. People who are facing hair loss. General जनता, we will not go and just buy a hair loss medication, right? Bald people or facing a hair loss. So this is niche market. Specific लोग ही आपका product लेंगे. That's a niche market. And how to identify one? Pretty simple. आपकी market कौन खरीदेगा? The customer. If it's just certain specific kind of people who will buy your product or service, then that's a niche market. Then that's a niche market. You identify a niche market based on your own product. Okay. Another thing, next weekend, the class is on 8th of June. 7th is a Saturday, but we have Eid ul-Zuha. So I think it's a holiday. And that's why the class will not be on Saturday. If you go and look at the schedule, the class is scheduled for 8th, not on Saturday, directly on Sunday, because it's Bakr Eid or Eid ul-Zuha.
Yeah,
So
it's a
take note of
gazetted holiday. That's why there is no class on Saturday.
Right.
And I think we have only now two
That's
classes in our hand. So my advice to all the students, please come up with your doubts, students, because we are having two classes left So all are requested to come up with your doubts, and if you have not started till now, please start reading. Please start reading.
Absolutely.
Right? Anything else? Any doubt? Anybody have any doubt?
We have two questions. Maybe I'll take those quickly.
Please.
Basically, your question is how hard elements and soft S elements are interrelated. Can I explain more? Absolutely, yes. So hard elements, again, which are in direct control, and soft elements, which are not in direct control, are interrelated because, like you were taking example of that Shimla trip with your friends, right? Your plan, your structure can ease a lot of problems that people might have, right? Now, let's say if there is a clear WhatsApp group tells what is to be done, when and how, and a lot of people are saying, yes, good, this is a good plan. Three people who were not liking the plan would eventually say, chalo, theek hai. If majority is like this, we'll also be part of that plan and they'll also try to enjoy. So if your hard elements, which are within your direct control as management, are strong and supported, then your soft elements will fall in place. If your soft elements are heavier or they are beyond, they're very much more powerful. Let's say too many dominating people in the organization. Let's say आप तो CEO हो, but बाकी लोग in the organization are much more dominating, and you as a leader are not authoritative. You can't take decisions quickly. You need to impress everybody. That's how you operate. तो हो सकता है आपके soft elements आपके hard element को change करें. The way you strategize, the way you plan, the way you create systems might be influenced by the style of leadership of people, the skill set of the people. Now, your soft skills will dictate your hard skills. So they're interrelated. अब कौन से heavy हैं, कौन से less weightage पे हैं, that depends on your management, how much you can control, how much you can. That is why they're important. Okay. Mohit, to your question, relationship between economies of scale and experience curve. Generally, with experience curve, most of the companies try to achieve economies of scale. As you grow, mature, and top pe pahunchte ho, when you are at maturity stage, when you are at your peak, you generally want to achieve economies of scale. Because economies of scale gives you a cost leadership advantage, which is a huge competitive advantage. आप चाहते हो करना, क्या आप कर पाते हो is a different ball game altogether. Execution and formulation are very different. So relationship between economies of scales and experience curve is, as a company grows through experience curve and reaches a maturity stage, most of the organizations aim to achieve economies of scale. Okay, Shiv, can I explain an elaborate control system? Control पे तो हम आएंगे अभी. Shiv, control system controls पे तो हमें आना है अभी. We'll talk about that in the next session. It's all about control and evaluation. You will understand everything in depth in the next session when I talk about control and evaluation, which is the last topic, and it's going to be fun for sure, with a lot of real life examples which we keep giving. Great. So I think we have answered all the questions and doubts. Keep practicing, guys. Bring more questions in the next class. I'll be happy to answer. Ma'am will be happy to answer. With that, keep studying. We have 2 more sessions left. Next session on Sunday, we complete chapter number 5. And we also do some revision. We'll do 5 very quickly. Last class, we'll do a full revision. Practice questions together. I will make sure we prepare you for the exam. But then the efforts are all yours. We will give our best to you. Make sure you're present, you're active and interactive, and you are able to deliver in the exam, right? You face problems with BCG, you face problems with diagrams, all of that, whether you need to write diagrams, yes or no, mostly yes. You face problems with BCG, we'll solve that. When we do practice questions, I'll bring questions from BCG for sure. It's a very sweet topic to ask questions from. So we'll see if you can answer or not, and we'll understand how to answer it. Okay. With that, I think let's wrap up the session today. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you so much. Thanks, ma'am, for your guidance. Thanks, technical team, for all the support. And thanks everyone for being present and interactive. I'll see you next week. Keep studying. Best of luck. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.